Alright, so now that we guys are done, hopefully the texturing part with Justin, I'm going to show you exporting quickly your textures for Maya quick. So I've already got a folder for it, and I've got texture sets all set to the correct textures. I'm going to go to global, make sure I set it to AI, Arnold AI standard, and then hit the export. Alright, once you're done that, I'm just going to bring them in here. You don't have to for this part, but I like to start off with file as well. I'm going to go save as, and then I'm going to call this Mech underscore rig. I'm going to do underscore 01 just because I can. What I'm going to do is delete my high poly, delete my human reference, and that way we don't, because we don't need them. Also delete the layers over here, leaving me with just the low poly mech. Now, what I'm going to do is go to my substance folder or add-on graph. Come up here, click on that, and hit select multiple. Let's see. I need textures. I gotta do them one at a time. Select and apply. Then I'm gonna do that 3 more times, or 2 more times, sorry. One for the gun. And hit apply. And I'm going to do the same for legs. And hit apply. Now I can go to the hypershade. I'm going to get the network. See that I need M body. Or M underscore AI body. That way I've got that figured out. I'm going to get this one. This one's the gun, so M underscore AI gun, and then do get network. This one M underscore AI underscore leg, and then now I can grab body, shift right click, assign the AI body, grab my guns as well, both left and right, and assign the gun, and then for the legs I will also assign AI legs. While I'm at it, let's do an edit and delete unused nodes. That way it'll clean up our outliner or our graph there. Then we will open up our mech. So what we are going to do is I'm going to actually start with, before we get into making the joints and rigs, we're going to first move everything. Yeah, we're going to move everything out of these groups. Delete them. Because we're going to delete that. I'm just going to take all this. Shoot. I should have made sure that these were all named properly first. That's okay. Quickly. do that now since that's what we're going to be doing. All right, so I'm just going to change the L to R for these guys, while also getting rid of these extra ones. You can't have two the same name. Oops. There we go. At least my guns are top, bottom. All right. Top. Oh, you. Oh. And then I'm just going to call that, or put that to B for bottom. There we go. You could almost combine them, but we're going to select everything, go back to your polygon modeling, delete history, freeze transforms. We now have the mech almost ready. So, all right, let's finish up the pre-part, and we're going to make groups for these. These are going to be the things we're animating and constraining to the joints. The reason why we're going to do it is so that you can also come back and replace the meshes. So I'm going to start with this, and we'll call this the mech head group. Then I'm going to work my way down the sections here. So Control G, V, it's the body group, right? Now I need the left femur, so I'll do the left side first. Left tibia. Right. And then can also do this foot. Working our way slowly down. I'm going to move fixing the pivot points. Doing this a little out of order too, but that's okay. There, so we've got the toe group. So what I'm going to do is then go to the right side. We'll do the right. Yeah, right femur. So group that one. Paste. Right. This is going to be the more tedious of everything, as it takes a little more time to. And then I can just paste these in here. Right. So mech right tibia group. And then right toe, or no, I'm missing the foot. Because I want to keep everything in order. Right, there we go, right foot, go toe group. After that, Control G. There we go. You've got yourself those guys there. Now for my extras, I'm going to do the left side first. So I need my gun arm. So that way I can easily group this here. Oh, I didn't want to double group it, but left arm group. And then I need left gun base. It's not the left base. There we go. Group that one. Right. So now that I've got that all there, I then am going to do that's what I'm looking for. Technically, I guess I could fuse them together, but I'm going to group them together in case, for whatever reason, we turn it into one mesh later or something, right? Left gun group, right? That leaves me with the gun arm itself. So let's go to its right arm. Ooh. I can group that as well. Control G. Try that again. Control G. Paste. Alright, so now that I've got the groups there, let's see. Gun base. Gun. Oh, no, not right guns. Second here. There we go. Right, so. Right, so. Mech _R. Gun base group, right? Just using the underscores for the right and left side there. Now, what I'm going to do is grab both these, group them together. In fact, I'm not going to actually move the pivot points just yet because I need to make the skeleton to actually do that. But I've at least now got the Mech Geo group ready. Technically, I could also grab this and do a modify search and replace _low, and then I'm just going to get rid of it. This. And there you go. That's how you can get rid of the word low as well. So now that we've organized that, I'm going to minimize it since that takes up an awful lot of space. We'll fix up the pivot points after. Now, for our next set of organization, we're going to make sure we're in the rig mode. You can also go to the rig shelf if you like. Skeleton, create joints. So we're going to create our skeleton. I'm going to first by just hold X to snap one joint right here, just for the point of it. Now, if you have trouble seeing your joints, you can go to animation, joint size, and change them to be larger. It might be a default by 1. Now I'm going to create or hit G to start again. That's going to be my root joint. I'm then going to put one roughly here for the body. No, I'll put one here for the body, and then one up here for the head. Enter. Right. Then I'm going to do a separate chain. One for here. Right. I can also hold V. That way, I can then just left click on these guys, these vertexes, right, and then instantly, and then I just pull that guy forward. Except for that backfired on me. Let me also close this. I'm going to snap this to a grid line. Let's see. Something's not right here. World. There we go. That's better. Now, if you're not so lucky, you can add an extra edge loop down the center of your object and snap it to the vertices. But I'm going to use my grid line here, so holding X, I can snap it here. I'm also going to hold V and snap it only on the two axes to that vertex there, right? So that way it's going through here, just like this. And we can also turn on X-ray joints under shading. X-ray joints, that way you see them. All right, so see how it goes there from one I know for sure these are already on the vertexes. So now this skeleton here, right? If I were to grab or open it up, do this and hit R, right? We can go. If I were to grab a single Y rotation, not quite doing what I want, but usually this is where you would go to display, transforms, local rotation axes, so you can see which way everything's kind of rotating, right? And see what they're looking like. Now, by default, X is usually following along to the next one, right? Technically for us, this is perfectly fine. Now I'm just going to go to my custom rigging, and then toggle local rotation so I can turn it off. Now, what I'm also going to do is create myself another joint. This one I'm going to do from the side here. 1, 2, and then I'm going to have 3. Then I can also come up to the top view, put one out this way. Right. So this guy though is going to be special. I need to first move this one. I'm going to hold V, snap him forward to roughly the center of this guy. Because ultimately, right, I want him to control these two guns. Then I'm going to move this one up while also snapping it to with vertex snapping to the center as well. This can be a fire point, right? And then I can control D it, pull that down to be in front of here. So this will be used to control the fire point of where you would spawn projectiles. Let's get to naming and regrouping our joints. So we'll start off with the root. Root underscore JNT for joint. Then from here it would be your hip underscore JNT for joint. Then we got the head underscore JNT joint, and oops, that's not J. Now, we've got to name our leg bones. So, very simple. I'm just going to grab these really quick. So, femur joint, knee joint, ankle joint. And then I'm also using the underscore L to label these guys here, right? So paste, there we go. I'm also going to do the toe joint as well. And they all have underscore L's. I'm also going to do the same for the gun joints. So start with my arm. Oops, that's right side. I need left side. There we go. Left arm joint. Right. Gun base joint. The gun joints, and then you've got the top fire joint, so gun underscore L underscore T fire joint, and then this can be gun. That way we've got areas to spawn. All right, so I need to attach the femur to the hip joint. And then the gun arm needs to be attached to the head joint, so that way when the head turns, it will turn. Now, this is where we can now select the top of the left side, go up to skeleton, and we are going to click on the mirror option. Now, we want to mirror things across on the Y and Z axis, replacing _L with R. So if I hit apply, now see I have _R there. I'm also going to do the same for my left femur, right? And that will give me that. And if we look outside here, you can see we have the very nicely done up area. Last but least, I'm going to select the child, right? So the hip joint, and then the parent, and hit P to parent it to my root joint. This root joint is good for root motion, especially also if you wanted to bring this guy to Unreal, not just Unity. Now I need to make the controls. So, one moment before we start that. Alright, so we are now going to make the controls before we get into fixing up points, then making sure our bones which drive our character are all set up. So let us start with the controls. So I'm just going to go to curves, create myself a polygon circle, drag it out, and we will call this the root _CTRL control. Now, I'm also going to duplicate it. Now, I can use the hotkey Alt-2 to snap these things to other joints, right? Just like this. I'm also going to duplicate it again. Actually, before I duplicate it, I'm going to grab this, go to Control Vertexes. You can also turn off the ability to select joints up there. That way you can modify things as you see fit. Right, I can do stuff like this, scale these things flat, grab these three, right, oops, that didn't quite work, undo that, there we go, scale on one axis, right, make different weird wonky shape, right, you can even technically just something like this. As long as the pivot point is where it is, right, then you're perfectly fine with it, right? Now this is going to then go up here, and I'm going to hold V to snap it there. I'm also going to do Alt-2 to see what it looks like. I might scale that one up a little more, just to do that, right? So this will be the hip CTRL, and then this can be the head CTRL, right? So we've got the head, hip, and that. Next, I need to create another nerve circle. I'm going to snap it to this vertex. In fact, I'm going to hit Alt-2, because this one is very important. Oops. Holding V, snapping it there. Hold J to rotate it. This is going to be the knee point, right? So I'm going to scale this down and leave that one there. I'll start with another circle. And this one I'm going to snap to the ball. 1 second, let me just double check my notes here. No. So this gets snapped to the ankle. Right. And then I go to Control Vertexes, grab them, hold X to snap it to the floor. I'll scale it in like this first, and make my shape. don't want to grab the center one. There you go. Something along those lines. Even those guys out like this. Maybe put this in, hit Alt 3. That looks about right. Main thing is the pivot point has to be sitting on the joint, and that's perfectly fine. This guy's pivot point is fine. It's supposed to be a pull vector to pull away from this thing, which you'll see in a second, because we're going to have working with forward and back, forward and inverse kinematics. So an IK system will work where, actually I could probably, no, I can't show you just yet because I haven't turned them on, but we'll get the controls first. But basically we'll be making it so when I move the foot, it'll control the leg and it'll move with it. That is the inverse kinematic. Forward kinematic is where you control each individual bone all the way forward with the rotations, right? So that'll be the main controls. All right, so got the head, hip, so I need to call this my, let's see, got the left knee control, and we've got the left foot control. Go. Now, I need 2 more spheres for my guns. One for the base and one for the gun itself. So I'm going to grab a sphere, another circle, and just rotate this guy this way. Hit Alt. I don't need it to be that big. Just like that probably would be fine. Right? And then I'm going to hit Alt 2 again, snap this one to this one, and then rotate it this way. Having it cut through the model is perfectly fine. We're just trying to make it so that the controls here are visible. In fact, I could probably shrink it down some too. Just because then they can always just grab it there. Right. Now, I'm going to probably make it a little bit bigger, but I digress. Alright, so now I need to name these. So I'll call this first one the gun arm control, and then these are the gun controls themselves. Right? Now, I'm going to grab my gun. Actually, I'm going to figure out the parenting first. Click and drag this one up here, right? So that this control will be controlled by this one, right? Then I'm going to group them in a form of like an offset, right? And in fact, I will call this the, there we go, arm control group, right? And then what I'm going to do is Control D, -1 it on that side, on the X, so that way it reverses it, right? So I have controls on the opposite side. I can then rename them to the right side. I could also use search and replace. This is all the tedious stuff, right? Then I can just drag and drop that up there. Now, if I wanted to keep the scale so that they would be reverse, it's a little hard to see right now, but the idea here, actually, let's do it with the foot really quick. So I'm going to group these, right? And then if I duplicate it and do -1, right? For Mech, he's a little more mechanical, but very simple way of this is if I grab both of these and hit rotate, right? And rotate it on the Y, see how they're reverse of each other, right? As soon as you freeze transform for the groups or move them out, you lose that functionality. But in our case, it's not necessary for the Mech now. I might leave actually it for my legs, just because that sounds like a fun idea. I'll name these there. Now, what you're going to do is select all your curves. So I like to usually just turn off all selection, turn on the curves, select the curves by themselves, go back to my poly modeling, delete and freeze the transform history. Which one are you? It's not right. Okay, so that one stayed. This guy. Well, I'm going to delete that one. I'm going to duplicate this one, Shift P it for right now, re-snap it to here, freeze its transform, call it the left side, right? The reason why we're freezing your transforms is so that way everything will be nice and clean, right? So see how all my controls have 0, 0 for the transform, rotation, and 1, 1, 1 for the scale. You want to have that for your controls, right? That way nothing will be problematic for you, right? Now, I know for sure my root control should control my hips. My head should be controlled by the hips as well. The arms should be controlled by the head. And then these guys, I'm going to actually leave them in the root control, right? So, now that we've got that set up, we can actually open up our joints. What we're going to do is look at the inverse kinematic. So, to start off, I'm going to make it so we can only select joints and go over to our rigging one and look for the IK handle. Right, you got to select the first joint and the last joint. This is going to make a IK handle that we are going to call IK left or underscore L underscore leg. You got to do the same thing for the right side. One and hit the ankle, right? In fact, I'll just paste this and just change that to an R. There we go. So now this is where we can now grab the driver, right? Which is actually got to turn back on curves. So we've got a bunch of different constraints that you can see here, right? You've got parent constraint, which actually we'll do a quick little demo with these guys. Cubes. Right. Just gonna turn on polygons really quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you grab your driver, your driven, parent constraint, right? So if I move this one, right? It's the same thing as if you were to actually make that a child. For rotation and movement, parent constraint doesn't have scale, as you can see. We did point constraint. It moves it to the exact point, and if you move one, let's see here. I'm going to there. No, I've got to. There we go. It's this cube I want to grab, right? So you see that they're basically stuck on the same transform, regardless. Now, orientate, so driver driven. So if I grab the driver, right, rotation, very much if I did the same for scale, except for I need to grab this one, right? Now, let's see here. Aim constraint is what we can do here. So if I grab this, you'll see cube will always face forward towards what we're aiming, right? Those are what constraints can do. Now we're going to be using parent an awful lot, but for right now we are going to look at the pull vector. So I'm going to grab this guy along with our left one and do a pull vector, right? So this pull vector, right, is what's going to control the ankle to move left and right, typically, right? You're not going to be really moving it up or down, scaling or rotating it. The same thing we want to do for the right side. So I'm going to grab this one and our right leg and do a pull vector constraint. Right. So driver, then the driven, right? Just like that. Next, now that we've got that set up, let's see here. All right. Let's deal with the body first, actually. That way you can actually see what's going on when we can constrain them. So I'm going to work my way down my geo groups, right, as well as fixing the pivot point. So I'm going to hit Alt-2. So D, then V. I'm going to snap that pivot point there. In fact, I'll quickly do that first. Let's move the pivot point, the body to the body. The left femur goes to that one, right? And then the tibia for your left side goes there. The left foot, now this is where you're gonna want to actually put it to the ball. The left toe is to the toe. Otherwise it'll look weird having it at the ankle because of the way it rotates. Going to do the same for the right side now. D to enter pivot point. Oops. Undo that last one. I didn't have it in pivot mode. D, Alt-2, hold V, then oops. D again, D, D. There we go. And then I can grab the tibia. And then I can grab the foot. I'm going to put it to the ball. And the toe to the toe. Just like that. Mech arm group. This one I'm going to put to the arm one, the arm base. Oh, wait, this is left side. Oops. So holding V, I'll go to the mouse, drag that over there, right? Holding V, grab this one. I'm going to put that to the arm base, and then the gun group to the gun group. Right side, arm, right? Moving this around, just holding V, snapping pivots around to the correct object. There we go. Tap that off. All right, we now got that done. So I'm going to go grab the head. I'm going to grab the, oh wait, no, the head joint. And then I'm going to grab the group, right? I'm going to, yeah. And then I am going to go to constraints, do parent, right? So then I'm going to grab the hip joint and the body group and do the same. I'm then also going to grab my, let's see here, left femur, which is going to be this one. So holding control, right, you gotta select the group, the joint, and then the group, right? We're gonna go down to the knee, which will be the tibia. There. The left foot group. Let's see here. Oh, yeah. No, the left foot is going to be to the ball. Pretty sure, yeah, because otherwise it'll rotate funny. Let's see here. Well, let's find out. I'm just going to quickly grab the... So let's grab the ankle, and I'm just going to try it really quick. Hit G. Right? So if I were to grab my ankle, just do... yeah. Something's not right there. Did I do it backwards? No, I didn't even do it. Try that again. I'm gonna grab the ankle, driver, the driven. I'm gonna hit G, right, to parent constraint this, right, and then if I were to, yeah. So see how weird and wonky it happens, right? If I undo that and go to the ball and select it now and do a parent constraint, right, and we grab the ankle here. Let's see here. Oh, what's going on here? No, the points there. Mesh got out of put. So I'm gonna re-snap that. Actually, why is it still 0, 0? I see. Oh, I see what happened. D, B, that at the toe. Yeah, there. Now, let's see here. If I grab the left toe, and then I grab the left toe there and hit G again to parent it, right? Now that I've got one leg kind of hooked up, I am going to grab the left leg control. I'm going to start with the joint, actually. So let's go foot control, left leg, okay, or IK, left foot control. I'm going to hit G to do the parent constraint. Oh. Let's try that again. Left foot control, left leg, G. There we go. Parent, that's there. All right. Now, what I need to do now is grab my left foot control. Oh, I see what I did. Oh, okay, so I should also rename these really quick. Right. Right. Then I'll do this one as well. Right. Then I can grab this. So left foot control. I'm gonna undo that last pull vector parent. So driver, driven, and do a constraint parent just to make sure. I'm also going to do for the left foot control, right? I'm going to grab this one. Oop. I did that backwards. So the driver, the driven, that's right. If I hit G, that's that way, right, right. And then if I go here, the driver is going to drive the ball, the driver, and the driven, which is that. So that one would be there. So now if I grab my foot, you'll notice there. Something's not right here. Let's try this again. Oh, I see. I see, said the blind man. Right, right. So left foot control, left ball. There we go. Left foot control is the driver, and the left toe. Right, so now, there we go. Now see how the back there kind of moves, right? If we parented this object to the actual ankle, it would look a lot more funny. So, all right, we've got that figured out. Now, got that control done there, right? Let's see here. Let's do the right side since we're already here. So I'm going to grab the driver, the left foot control. I'm going to grab its ball and parent that, right? Right toe, parent that. Right control, driver. So your driver driven. You can also see we've got another right there. Right. While we're at it, I'm also going to grab the hip control, the driver, the driven, and hit G. I'm going to grab the head control, grab the head, and G again for parenting, joining in that one. And while we're at it, we can grab the root and the root joint and do that, right? So whenever I move the root joint, it moves with it, right? So I'm going to finish up our the right femur with the right femur parent joint. Oops, I did that backwards. Driver driven G, then your right knee to the tibia. Oops, that's because I didn't hold control. There we go. Control, driver driven. There we go. Ankle. No, the ball. Let's see. Right foot. G. Toe. Let's grab the toe. Oops. And then we'll put that there. Control, or alt, not control, just G to repeat the parent constraint. Right. Now that I've got those all constrained, I can now move my foot. And I can even move the ankle. Not having supporter or external like things to make joints to turn make it look a little awkward for our mech. But hey, apparently we're making more animated, friendly kind. All right, so that just leaves me with let's see here. That guy works very well. All right, so I've got to finish up my mech. So left arm. So that would be let's see. Left arms are these guys. So this is my left arm. This one. I'm gonna put that parent constraint that there. Left gun base to there. So driver driven. Then the driver driven for that group as well. And then we can do the same for the right arm. So no, we want the driver. So the right arm to its right arm joint. This is just so that the rotation of this won't look so funny. That's why I needed this joint. Technically, I should have had a secondary joint here, which probably would make it look a lot less funny for animation. Again, the more joints you have, the more intense it is. In my case, I'm going to go with the same way the book has it, just for right now. But I would typically want a second, your hip bone joint, so that way you can have like a hip socket there to make it for our robot to rotate a little better. But let's see here. I need the right gun base. So right gun base. Wait, driver driven. There we go. Then this guy is the driver, and that is the driven. Right. Again, this is so we can easily change out pieces in that. It would definitely be a lot more optimized if you skinned it and made it one singular mesh. But either way is good, depending on which way you want to go about it. For mechs, this is perfectly fine. But for a character or more organics, you would want to use skin weights and things like that. So we've now rigged up those. We've got to do the controls though for my gun arms. Because now, as you can see, if I rotate this, everything else moves with it. But my left gun arm needs to do left, so the controller or driver, right? The left base. I hit G, right? And then I select this thing. I should be able to rotate it this way. Yep. So then the left gun control should be the, wait a minute. Yeah, let's try that again. Driver, driven, parent constraint. That way, yeah, these guys rotate this way. Now, let's see here. I'm also going to do this side, so this one with its gun base, and hit G to get my parent constraint. The gun control with this one, and hit G. There we go. All right, so as you can see now, we've got a fully optional rig, but we do have some things that we can do to tidy it up, especially so that way you don't accidentally do anything to your controls. So for starters, I'm going to turn everything off, but the curves. That way I can select just the curves. I'm going to first off take everything, except for I'm going to deselect the root one. Right click, lock and hide selected. Right. This will get rid of the scale since I don't want to be keying or changing the scale things. Scale down, lock and hide selected for visibility. Lock, hide. There we go. This one is the only one I'm going to leave all the availability in case we need to scale things uniformly, right? Now, for the hip itself, this one can move up and down. You would probably want a little bit of rotation for when he rocks back and forth as well. So these ones I'm going to leave fine. The head itself, I don't feel like unless you wanted to detach, it should move. So I'm going to lock and hide these guys. Now, that leaves me with rotation. I typically think you only want it to do Y. Now, I'm going to select both of these, lock and hide selection. Now, if you ever, for whatever reason, need to get things back under Windows, General, Channel Controller, this is where you can find things that you can get back, right? You've got locked over here. You can select them, unlock them. So if I wanted to, I could move over here, right? That was rotation X, right? And then if I look for rotation X to put it back, I can move it over here and it's back, right? Then I'll just re-lock and hide that just so that I can fix that. All right. That way, also, when I hit S, it'll only allow me to do this. I can't do anything here because they're locked and frozen. In fact, I'm going to grab these two. You don't want to rotate these ones, so we'll lock and hide that. There we go. It's perfectly fine. This guy as well. Yeah. This one, you'd only want it these two to rotate on the X, so and you don't want them to move. So we're going to lock and hide these ones. So left click, shift click, lock and hide. That way I only can rotate these ones on the X, right? That leaves me with cleaning up this one here. That way I can also, you only want to rotate on the Y. Go, lock and hide selection. There we go. if you wanted to, you could even come in here and add a limit to your rotation in the attribute editor with these controls, right? So if I were to hit E, rotate it this way, I would say roughly, I'm gonna say 11, right? So if I were to limit the Y rotation from, let's just say -12, right? That means that'd stop. That one's a little far for -12, but let's see here. Oh, let's see, that is -9. Limit. So if I turn this on, oh, I see, min and max, right? So I'd want to type in -12, right? And then I would then see that, and then I'd probably want +12, maybe even 14, just because I can get away with that. But I want to also see what this one has as well, right? So this one would be probably the +12. So your max would be 12, and this minimum would be like -14, right? This way they get stuck just like that, right? Just to give you a little difference there. Now that we've cleaned up those, for those that want to, you can go into display, and then drawing override enable. You can pick colors for different things, right? Let's see, find, right? So that allowed me to swap everything, but I can select the curves individually, right? And be like, whatever color I want for them. Let's see, there we go. Oh, is he overriding everyone? Let's see here. Right. I see. Okay, no, it's working. Okay, it was just a fluke. Right, so if I drag that one there, also drag this one up here, right, for the center. You technically could also color code your left and right controls, different colors. It's very more common that way. Typically, you'd want the same colors for your left and right side. I'll leave that side there. This one here, I'll to maybe, I don't know. All right. I'm going to minimize these groups, and for the IKs, I am going to group them. Control G. I'm going to make this the do not touch group, because you don't want to be touching them. Everything else, I'm going to just now group together. Oops, Control G. Call this the Mech GRP. And with that, we are ready to get into some animations next time.